When a person seeks a spiritual direction and they sit down with the spiritual director, the person is sitting there to deepen the path that they're already on, where they wouldn't be moved to seek spiritual direction. That is, there's something stirring within them, which is the presence of God, however they understand the presence. It's like an experiential realization. And they realize it's asking something out of them to be faithful to it in the ordinariness of their days. And so the directee and the spiritual director are sitting together in a room in which one helps the other deepen the path they're already on. And so how can I discover what it is that's hindering me from going deeper? How can I learn to understand it and with God's grace let go of it? And how can I, with God's grace, know that I'm already immersed in what I'm looking for? And how can I walk by it and share it with the people? I think another thing about spiritual direction, which I think is key also, is the three pillars of spiritual direction, the three foundational guidelines. The first is to find your practice and practice it. Next is to find your teaching and follow it. And the third is to find your community and enter it. And so the practice is any act habitually entered into with your whole heart that takes you to the deeper place is the practice. If you're faithful to your practice, the practice will be faithful to you. Like you're experientially grounded in this rendezvous with God in the practice. I like where Thomas Merton says, he said, when it comes in approaching God, to know that to understand is to realize you're infinitely understood. And in the rendezvous, you sit with that. The teaching is a teaching that bears witness to that and offers guidance in it. So it's an in-depth reading of the scriptures, the mystics, sometimes poets or philosophers, whatever. And so what you realize is that the teaching, they're bearing witness to this unitive state. And then they're offering guidance in how to follow the path, to be ever more habitually established in that. And the community is, really your community is God, is the infinite. But it's also just one other person in whose presence you're not alone on the path this way. And as it gets deeper, you realize as you practice your practice, eventually little by little, life itself is the practice. And little by little, that you're being taught by life itself. There is no lack of teaching. There's only lack of the awareness of the teaching being given. And it's given to it in the way you live your life. And you realize that your community is the world. God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten. That's the essence of all world religions, is that the infinite comes to us and illumines us and guides us. And so I think those three pillars would be another important thing to look at in terms of spiritual direction as a light of the world. It's very mysterious now with Maureen having died. I live here alone. I feel there's something like a certain kind of phase of solitude to my life. It's like a obediential fidelity to the hiddenness of things. But I think for me, what it is in the Turning to the Mystics podcast that I do with Kirsten, so it's such a privilege for me to take these mystics that so profoundly affected me in the monastery and to sit with people and speak from my heart in an experiential, poetic way, drawing up how the light that they're speaking of is shining in their own living room, in their own this way. And I found that so helpful to be walking through these mystics. We just did Therese, the little flower, this way. And we did T.S. Eliot four quartets, so we did John of the Cross and three. So it's just such a. Then I want to move into the world religion and so on. So I would consider I'm getting spiritual direction, because they're not lectures. You know, not it's not a lecture about anything. It's kind of speaking of the lineage, experientially bearing witness to it, in a way that when the person is listening, it resonates in their heart as they listen to it, this way. And I think that's what I do. I think.